The Temple of Solomon has had an important role throughout history. The first temple was built by Solomon. David was happy with just the tabernacle and the tent. Solomon was wise, but he was also diplomatic. This caused him to worship other gods to please his wives and diplomats. He believed that the God of Israel was stronger than the others, so he needed a house like all the others. After the Babylonian invasion, the Jewish temple was destroyed. The second temple was built with permission from Cyrus the Great of Persia and completed in the reign of Darius the Great. Alexander the Great visited the temple complex. He was led into the Holy of Holies and sacrifices were made. The priests showed Alexander the prophecies that in the book of Daniel. These prophecies shows that the Greeks will conquer Persia. This so pleased Alexander that he offered Simon just anything. Simon only asked for the Jewish people to be allowed to practice their faith. Alexander the Great freed them from taxes every 7th year and allowed any Jewish soldier the Jewish people of Media and Babylon were also granted the same privileges. The Jews were granted rulership over Samaria. The Samaritans asked for similar privileges, but the request was denied. Pompey forced himself into the temple complex, killing 12,000 Jewish soldiers, and walked into the holiest of holies. He watched the services for one day and then left Jerusalem. During the Roman Civil War, Julius Caesar defeated Pompey and became the first ever emperor of Rome. The Jewish people backed Caesar and sent 3,000 troops. Caesar showed gratitude for their help by lifting the taxes and harsh decrees imposed by Pompey. The walls around Jerusalem was rebuilt and the coastal towns were returned to Jewish rule. In 44 BC, Caesar was assassinated. The Romans passed the authority over to Herod. He proved to be both murderous and a tyrant. In 70 AD, the Romans destroyed the temple. Napoleon lifted many laws that were harsh to the Jewish people. He abolished laws that limited the Jewish people to only live in ghettos and made Judaism one of the national religions of France. He made a decree that invited all Jews of Africa and Asia to gather together under his flag and march to Jerusalem. They came in large numbers and threatened Aleppo. The British made sure that the message didn't go any farther than that. The temple and the Jewish people has a date with destiny and the Messiah ben Yosef.
When the temple is rebuilt in the city of David, their man, the person that they had handpicked, was at some point going to walk into the Holy of Holies, take the blade and shed his own blood, and then proclaim himself to be the Messiah. And then these sons of the fallen, they plan on ruling the world. They believe it enough to not only be willing to kill for it, they believe
in Jerusalem to make that new temple rise.
Yes.
So that this next coming happens.
Yes.
And that they will have therefore control of this world.
Yes.
Now the key thing to me is you don't believe
from heaven, and in visions of God he took me to Jerusalem, to the entrance of the north gate of the inner court, where the idol that provokes to jealousy stood. And there before me was the glory of the God of Israel, as in the vision I had seen in the plain. Then he said to me, Son of man, look toward the north. So I looked, and in the entrance north of the gate of the altar I saw this idol of jealousy. And he said to me, Son of man, do you see what they are doing, the utterly detestable things the Israelites are doing here, things that will drive me far from my sanctuary? But you will see things that are even more detestable. Then he brought me to the entrance to the court. I looked, and I saw a hole in the wall. He said to me, Son of man, now dig into the wall. So I dug into the wall, and saw a doorway there. And he said to me, Go in and see the wicked and detestable things they are doing here. So I went in and looked, and I saw portrayed all over the walls all kinds of crawling things and unclean animals, and all the idols of Israel. In front of them stood 70 elders of Israel, and Jazaniah son of Shaphan was standing among them. Each had a censer in his hand, and a fragrant cloud of incense was rising. He said to me, Son of man, have you seen what the elders of Israel are doing in the darkness, each at the shrine of his own idol? They say, The Lord does not see us. The Lord has forsaken the land. Again he said, You will see them doing things that are even more detestable. Then he brought me to the entrance of the north gate of the house of the Lord, and I saw women sitting there, mourning the god Tammuz. He said to me, Do you see this, Son of man? You will see things that are even more detestable than this. He then brought me into the inner court of the house of the Lord, and there at the entrance to the temple between the portico and the altar were about 25 men, with their backs toward the temple of the Lord and their faces toward the east. They were bowing down to the sun in the east. He said to me, Have you seen this, Son of man? Is it a trivial matter for the people of Judah to do the detestable things they are doing here? Must they also fill the